The person you will become is being quietly constructed by the standards you refuse to enforce today. Every time you lower your expectations to match your comfort, you reshape your future identity downward. You don't suffer from lack of potential, you suffer from lack of consistent self-correction. What you repeatedly excuse in yourself becomes the personality others eventually experience. Self-deception is dangerous not because it feels bad, but because it feels justified. Your future is not a mystery, it is a projection of your daily tolerances. You claim to value growth, yet you protect the behaviors that prevent it. Identity is not what you declare in ambition, but what you defend in repetition. The standards you ignore today become the ceilings you complain about tomorrow. You are not confused about what to change, you are emotionally attached to avoiding it. Every small compromise you make trains you to accept less from yourself. Comfort is not neutral, it conditions your threshold for effort. What you allow consistently becomes what you embody permanently. You don't become disciplined in dramatic moments, you become disciplined in ordinary ones. Your habits are writing a biography that your intentions cannot edit. The gap between who you think you are and what your behavior proves is widening quietly. Motivation fades, but tolerated standards remain. Self-respect is built or broken in the decisions no one sees. You are always practicing something, even when you think you are resting. Every delay in correction strengthens the version of you that avoids responsibility. The person you blame is often the pattern you refuse to confront. You do not drift into greatness. You drift into mediocrity when you remove friction. Repetition is destiny disguised as routine. The longer you justify your weaknesses, the harder they become to uproot. Your environment reflects what you are willing to tolerate. You say just this once, but your brain hears this is acceptable. Self-trust erodes each time you break a promise to yourself without consequence. Discipline is not harshness, it is identity protection. What feels insignificant today compounds into character tomorrow. You cannot separate your identity from the behaviors you repeat daily. Every shortcut you take trains you to expect reduced effort for desired outcomes. The standards you lower for comfort will rise later as regret. Avoidance today becomes anxiety tomorrow. You don't need more information, you need more enforcement. The future magnifies what you practice in private. Identity forms in silence long before results appear publicly. Weak boundaries do not stay contained, they spread into other areas of your life. Your calendar exposes your priorities more honestly than your words ever will. The version of you 5 years from now is being shaped in these small daily permissions. You are not stuck. You are consistent with what you tolerate. Each ignored red flag in yourself becomes a permanent trait. You cannot claim ambition while rehearsing procrastination. The lie you repeat most often becomes the self you defend most fiercely. Comfort is expensive because it charges interest later in missed opportunity. Every uncorrected habit strengthens your resistance to future change. You admire discipline in others while negotiating standards within yourself. The person you are becoming is a direct reflection of what you refuse to eliminate. You don't wake up undisciplined, you rehearse it gradually. Identity is evidence built through repetition, not emotion. You are training your future self either for resilience or regret. Consequences do not arrive loudly, they accumulate quietly. You cannot outthink a habit you refuse to replace. Every time you protect comfort over correction, you vote against your own potential. You say temporary, but patterns rarely are. Self-deception survives because it feels reasonable in the moment. The longer you wait to enforce higher standards, the more resistance you create internally. You are either building authority over yourself or surrendering it to impulse. What you normalize defines your identity more than what you fantasize about. Weak routines produce predictable futures. The standards you tolerate become the identity you inherit. Growth requires friction, and friction disappears when you prioritize comfort. Every broken promise to yourself lowers your internal credibility. You don't lose discipline suddenly, you loosen it gradually. The person you want to become cannot coexist with the habits you refuse to drop. Self-awareness without correction is sophisticated avoidance. You are not waiting for change, you are becoming what you repeat. The future does not care about your intentions, it responds to your patterns. Avoiding discomfort now multiplies discomfort later. You don't have a time problem, you have a tolerance problem. Identity is shaped more by what you reject than by what you desire. Each compromise reshapes your character more than you realize. Your impulses are not harmless, they are directional. The longer you negotiate with weakness, the stronger it becomes. Standards ignored become standards erased. You are practicing your future in every ordinary decision. Comfort builds softness when it replaces effort. Softness invites dependency on circumstances. Dependency breeds resentment toward outcomes. The cycle begins with small daily permissions. You are not a victim of fate, you are a product of repetition. The version of you fear becoming is forming in the habits you defend. Self-discipline is the firewall between potential and regret. What you refuse to confront today will define you tomorrow. Identity does not collapse in one moment, it erodes in increments. You do not need more inspiration, you need stricter standards. Your daily behavior is a more accurate reflection of you than your aspirations. The longer you delay correction, the harder your identity becomes to reshape. You cannot build a powerful future on tolerated weakness. Repetition compounds silently until consequences become visible. The gap between who you think you are and who you are becoming widens through comfort. Every day you excuse yourself, you train yourself. What you repeatedly allow becomes who you are known as. Weak enforcement produces weak identity. You already know what needs to change. Avoidance is a choice. The future self you admire is built by decisions you resist today. You cannot rise above the standards you continuously lower. Identity is not declared in ambition, but proven in discipline. What you tolerate becomes your reputation with yourself. Your future will reflect the behaviors you refused to correct. No one is coming to enforce the standards you are unwilling to hold.